Hey guys, let's talk about DNA evidence for creation and specific complexity in nature. Let's consider this to be water, and this to be sand. And as the water laps onto the sand, it makes designs. Ripples that form a pattern and a shape. But these ripples are formed because of necessity, not because of any specific choice that the water is making or that the sand is making. They're formed by necessity based on the weight of the water, the wetness of the sand, the force of gravity, the pressure of the air, and other factors as well. But let's say you have the same scenario down here, and you're walking along the beach, and the water's lapping up, and you're seeing ripples in the sand, but then you're also seeing something else. You see some writing that says D plus A in the ripples. When you walk across this design in the sand and you look at it, would you think to yourself, this DNA were probably caused by the water lapping up onto the sand? It's unlikely that this combination of D plus A would occur naturally, but there's a chance that it could have occurred. D plus A is very simple as far as specific complexity goes. We all know that that is ridiculous, because this type of specific information requires a mind for its existence. It doesn't exist because of necessity or because of physical properties acting upon it. It exists because a mind chose for it to exist. Which brings me to my next point, DNA. How does it work, and why is it such a powerful piece of supporting evidence for creation? DNA is a four-letter code. The four letters of the code represent different types of nucleotides. Nucleotides are the building blocks of life. A and G, C, and T. All living organisms have DNA within each cell of their body. DNA acts as a roadmap to tell the body how things are to be built, to communicate messages, to repair damage, and things of that nature. And the code goes on and on and on and on and on for hundreds of thousands of positions. But it's a four-letter code, so the next spot in this code could be C, could be G, could be T, could be A, and on and on and on like that. There are machines that will go in and attach, and it will take that code off and make a copy of that part of the code. This copy is called RNA. It's a transportable version of the original code that can be used to make things in order to repair or grow or further the organism in one way or another. This copy is then transported to a protein-making machine called a ribosome. The ribosome will then take this information using 3 bits at a time and use amino acids to make proteins. And the proteins are the building blocks for the organism. And once it's used enough amino acids to make the right proteins, the proteins then go to the place that they're needed within the organism. This code is specific and it's complex. Let's take some information from a parasite called Mycoplasma genitalium. We're just going to call it Parasite. This parasite has about some of the most basic DNA that scientists can find. It's been a favorite for many genetic biologists to study because of its simplicity. This very simple DNA structure still has 500,000 spots. Of coding information. So that's 500,000 possible positions for each of the 4 letters of the nucleotides within DNA. So the total possible combinations for this very simple strand of DNA would be 4 to the 500,000th power. So the chance that our parasite's DNA strand were to come about randomly is so ridiculously small it boggles the mind. The odds of this happening by random is so small that it's incomprehensible. The number is so astronomical that you can't even understand how impossible that would be. I mean, it's a number so large that it just boggles my mind even thinking about it. So I've drawn 30 zeros here. The chances that this would come about randomly is one chance in a number that has 301,000 more zeros at the end of it. And that's just to get the basic DNA structure, not to mention all the other devices that are required for life to continue and flourish at this capacity. You still need the RNA polymerase, which is the copying machine that comes and cuts the code and copies it so that it can be used in the cell. And you still need the ribosome, which is the protein-making factory, so that the RNA that gets copied can go to the protein factory and tell the factory which amino acids to use so that it can kick out the right proteins. Atheists, can you really expect us to believe the structure of DNA arose by chance, and that once it did arise, the machines that were required for life arose with it and began to work and function all on their own? It's one thing to make something, but it's another thing to make it live. In closing, DNA is specific complex information found in nature. Natural laws and physical necessity don't create these types of information, as we discussed earlier in the video. Therefore, DNA can't exist in our universe because of unguided natural laws. The complex coding in these genes is much more detailed than seeing D+A written in the sand. So it's not difficult for me at all to look at it and see the signature of Almighty God, the creator of the universe. I appreciate you listening to my video. I hope you have a great day, and God bless.